There are so many political layers to this. Congressman, what's your assessment of this is pretty classic for Donald Trump. It's kind of how he talks and thinks. David's nodding, and jump in on this if you want.
I was going to say, it's not even the first round of the question about Trump versus Vance. He's done this, Rubio versus Vance. He's done this before too.
Right, and he's constantly kind of asking, because he seems to care. Part of what dictates what he thinks is what other people think, and he's trying to figure out who's up, who's down. What is your kind of assessment of how the Vance-Rubio shadow competition, where it stands right now, and how the war has impacted it?
So let me just say, first, my experience with the president is it's not uncommon for him to ask you 5 questions about 5 different people. What do you think of this person? How did she treat you? What's the response here? What do people think of them? What was the response to the speech? Did you hear the applause? She got more applause than he got. Right? He's always rating these things, calculating these things. Members of Congress would come back to me from meetings and say, oh, he really agrees with me. And I was like, no. He's sounding everybody out to figure out what he should believe. And that's what he's always doing, is working through that. So on Vance versus Rubio, he loves the competition, number one. Number two, he has complete mastery and control of the Republican Party. So his say is not 9/10 of the primary, but probably close for his successor. Vance wants to make Trumpism, MAGA, into an ideology. Rubio is far more flexible. So that means that Rubio can negotiate week by week, month by month, into whatever the response is that's necessary to get through the week and month. While Vance is trying to make Trumpism for him to be the successor to the ideology that they want MAGA to be. The president, however, does not believe that MAGA is an ideology. He believes it's his governing function and his power, and that will change from week to week based off the best needs to get through that week and to get through that month. So we've got a really interesting thing here between more ideological with Vance and more practical with Rubio. And the memes, too, like I mentioned before, are driving a lot of this popularity, with both Vance and Rubio embracing the internet memes as a source of their potential political power.
That's honestly a fascinating assessment of all of this. How do you think Trump's popularity or lack thereof impacts when you say he's 9/10 of the law when it comes to who's going to be the Republican nominee? Does his increasing unpopularity lower that number, or does it not really have an impact?
So you're saying a president with CNN polling is the least popular president in modern history for CNN polling. That same CNN polling says that he is the most popular president within his own party ever. So that is his power. That is his power on Capitol Hill. That is his power with party activists across the country. That strength is not waning, and it will maintain through the end of his term and much longer thereafter. He is the most popular Republican president ever. And that gives him the power and strength to determine his successor.
And I think the hardest part, the situation that J.D. Vance is in, is over the last week or so, his team obviously seems like they leaked out that he disagreed with President Trump on the war. And I think that there is this general view with the American people that Rubio seems to be a steady hand in the administration. He is seen as someone who could, is behind a lot of the foreign policy decisions, et cetera. What
kind of
J.D. Vance in the room, sorry. What J.D. Vance is struggling with is that he doesn't have that sort of view. People see him as a Trump defender, and he's trying to find those instances where he distances himself from Donald Trump. So is that going to end up hurting his chances with Donald Trump moving forward? Because he will, in order to win a general election, he cannot be Trump 2.0. There's no way, there aren't enough votes for him to necessarily win. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out moving forward.
Vance is in the worst box of any of the people we're talking about that would run as a Republican for president in the next after Trump. And that's always the case with a vice president. He has to own all of the unpopular things that Trump is doing. And in this case, as Congressman McHenry said, you can't really get distance from the guy who's going to anoint the next person. It's not going to be a regular Republican primary. It's going to be like The Bachelor with the rose. And so, like, how does Vance do this? I do think that distancing, that it's now part of the understanding of this war, that Vance was the strongest voice against it, is actually a big win for him. That is, and we believe it to be true to him. Like, we understand, like, we don't believe Like, I believe that's true. And then he fell in line because that's his job to do. But I think that was an important moment for him that he could re-up later, say, like, I was always against this, and you knew it in real time.
Also, while the president has given him sort of a test here about how to bring it to a conclusion and how much of J.D. Vance is going to be the face of that and own that is a potential upside for him if it comes to a successful conclusion. To your point about anointing, this is one of my biggest questions. You said Trump loves the competition, and there's no doubt that he does. I just wonder, in the 2028 primary process, like, how long does Donald Trump want to see that competition go on? Does he want to anoint, early and shut down this process?
No.
Does he not? That's my big question.
It will go on
until
until the day before the Republican National Convention.
We created that.
Agreed.
Right?
Oh man, we are in for it. All right, coming up next here.